Here's how to format your annotated bibliography using Microsoft. Okay, so let's say that I have my 3 articles. I've already gone and created some works cited entries. For the one from the library, all I did was copy this and put it on a page. Now I notice when I dump these on a page, it kind of doesn't look right. And if I'm looking for a little more help, I can go to the instructions and I actually have samples that I can look at that say, hey, Sherry, this is what it's supposed to look like. So clearly there's this interesting hanging indent. They're all in the same font. It looks like they're double spaced. They use the page numbering feature. Mine doesn't look at all like that. There's also a little example down at the bottom of additional resources that says, hey, if you need to take a look at it again, here's what it's supposed to look like. So clearly mine needs a little work. The other thing I can do while I'm formatting is also make sure that I've included all the pieces and parts. So if I look on this creating, a works cited entry help sheet, what I see is I'm going to need last name, comma, first name, article title, the publisher. If there's a sponsor, that goes right before date. The date is in an international format, the URL, and a period. So all of these helpful things are right under the instructions, so I'm not alone. When I first go to my document, I notice when I'm just pasting stuff there, it always calls my document whatever the first word is. Now, if I'm going to look for this in my OneDrive later on, I don't know who Doug Gavel is. We're not friends. Sorry, Doug. I want to actually type over this and call it something that I'm going to remember later on. So for now, I'm just going to label mine A bib. So I remember that's the document. Now, sometimes when I'm looking at a document, it won't let me touch things. So I want to make sure I'm clicked on editing, not on viewing. Viewing will just let me look at it, not touch it and make changes. And I'm the writer, so I should be able to edit my own document. So the first thing I notice is there's different fonts here. So I'm going to grab my whole page. I'm going to change the font. You can see that I've used Times or Times New Roman recently, so it's near the top. 23 is way too big. I want to use 12 points. Great. The next thing I'm going to do is while I've got that selected, I'm going to start looking at my line spacing, which should be double spaced, and also this kind of weird extra space above Rebecca Perkins's name. So I'm going to go to Layout, and I notice that under spacing before there's a 0, under space after there's nothing. That means the computer is confused. It has some sort of space after formatting somewhere, but not everywhere. So I'm going to hand type in a 0. And if I need to, I can hit enter, and now you can see that Rebecca Perkins is now pushed up against the next one. So don't worry if you feel like, oh no, they're stuck together, I should put a space in between. For modern language association, we won't need that. Let's do the hanging indent. So I've already gone into view and clicked my ruler on. If your ruler is off, it will look like this. It will just look like a plain white document. So you can go to view, click on your ruler so you can kind of see what you're doing. The first thing I'm going to do is grab this little box at the bottom of this indent kind of item guy, and I'm going to pull this icon over to 0.50. Notice it all moves over. Now I don't want to let go of all this stuff yet, because while this is all selected in gray, I'm going to take the top, which is a little kind of pie piece, I call it. I'm going to move that to 0. Now look how it's done that. It has done a hanging indent for me. There's several different ways to do this, but I just wanted to show you sort of the visual way to do it, since I'm more of a visual learner. So now I need to figure out how can I do my paragraph spacing. So I went back over to the home. I'm going to go to these 3 dots, more options, and I'm going to go to paragraph options. Now if I'm ever confused, I can go up here and use the search tool, and I can put something like line spacing or double space, and it will find it for me. I just happen to know it's under here. So I'm going to click on paragraph options, and it asks me, what do you want? I've already got the hanging indent. This is another way you can put a hanging indent, but we did it the kind of physical way, which I think is more fun. So now I'm going to make this double space, and now I'm going to hit OK. So now it's looking more and more like the other documents I saw under the instructions. If I let go of my stuff, I can now go through and make some hand corrections. I notice that what I want right after the article title, which is in quote marks, the next phrase is always the publisher. So I want that to be in italics, and I can do it on this little moving bar, or I can do it up here. Either way is fine. I don't italicize Harvard University since it's the sponsor. Some places don't have sponsors, so don't worry if you can't find a sponsor. This one is just called Guinea Pigs, and if you remember when I found that one, it actually, there's no author's name, and we definitely don't want to use an editor or the person who took the pictures. So we're just going to leave that with the title Guinea Pigs. I do use a capital P because I want to do what's correct for the MLA. So this one I notice has a capital letter for almost all the words. For short words or articles like for, the, to, it's lowercase. Now when I go up here, I realize, oh no, when I pasted this in, it didn't do that. So I'm going to go through and fix it. So this only takes a second. There's another way to do it, but I want to kind of show you by hand because it's actually nice to see, you know, how somebody else can do it. So as I'm glancing through, this one doesn't have like April, February. There's no, the only publishing date. And if I go down, they've updated this page since I did my last video. So I need to change this to 2026. There we go. Now I've got these blue links which I want to get rid of. Obviously, if I'm emailing something to someone, I want the blue link to be there so they can click on it and get to it. Since this is an assignment for a class, I don't want it. So I'm going to click on that link. Instead of going to it, I'm going to go to this remove link all the way over to the right. So I'm going to go on to each one and click to the right and hit remove link. Now if I'm touching something or moving something, those links may come back, and that's okay. If it comes back, I'll just go over, click on top of it, click that remove link. So things are looking pretty good. I do have to get this in italics, and I notice that this little floating bar is right here, but I can also find it up there if I need it. Either way is perfectly fine. I'm going to go down and check out the Rebecca article. Looks pretty good. One thing I notice is when I pasted it in, it lost the italics for the words educational gerontology. And I'm like, oh no, see, it was italics here, but it's not italics here. And I actually have a slightly different copy and paste because I probably went from another site. But let's go ahead and make sure that's in italics. There we go. Either one is looking pretty good. The only thing I have to do left is put in my page numbering feature. For this assignment, we use the hanging indent. We won't use that for regular essays. We only use it for an annotated bibliography or for a works cited page at the end of an essay. So let's go ahead and do the page numbering feature. We don't need a header at the top with your name and my name and the class name. You're going to submit it to Canvas, and I'm going to know who you are. So let's go ahead to insert, and at the top I'm going to skip header and footer and go right to page numbers. It shows me and asks me, Sherry, where do you want your page number? And I'm like, I want it on the right hand side at the very top. When I click it on, I notice that the page number does not have my last name, and it's a different font. It's kind of weird. So when I click up here, I'm going to go all as far as I can over to the right. I'm going to put in my last name. Obviously, you'll use your real name. Don't worry that this is showing you the formatting. That's going to click off and be a 1 later on. What I'm going to do now, it's kind of acting a little goofy, isn't it? I'm going to click on this and actually change the font for both my last name and the number before I go back to the document, because I want this to match what's below. So I'm going to click on this, go to Times New Roman, 12 points. Now I can double click down below, and it's looking good. So formatting can be a little bit of a pain. Don't forget that you always have hints. You have documents that have already been submitted. I have signed permission to show you those students' annotated bibliographies. You've got a little hint guide on how to what to put first, what to put next in those works cited entries. You also have a video on how to actually make a works cited entry. You can actually look at a guide on how it should look. So all of these things are there for you to look at. We don't want you to feel kind of confused and alone while you're doing this. So this is actually ready for me to submit as my assignment. When I go up to my options for submitting, I can actually save it as a docx, but I actually want to export it as a PDF. Portable display format is actually better because it holds the formatting better. I'm going to download it as a PDF. It's going to tell me it's ready. And when I look at the top up here, there it is. You can see I've done it a couple of times today. So there's my document. I can drag it to my desktop and I can go back to my assignment and submit it. So that's how to format using Microsoft Word. Thanks.